final minute. Bennett for the pocket. Launches to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. A.D. Minimum.
3rd and 10 from the 11. Travis under pressure, trying to escape. Able to escape. Turns the corner. Stays it back.
Gets to the edge. Come on to the 30. There's another first down. Not dealing with much pressure at all when he does drop back to throw. The play action. Bennett looks down the middle. McConkey's wide open. Touchdown, Dogs.
Woo.
Ooh.
Always great.
Always great. Welcome back to the Knowles and Dogs podcast. As always, I am Hunter.
And I'm Dylan.
God, let's get it up.
Hey, you know what? I was thinking you were going to introduce me there. I thought you were going to give me a little bit of a. And
Well,
this is.
Do I need to start going back to that? I figure we just.
No. I think it works better that.
I need to start setting you up right there.
It's like a layup. You know what I mean? Like you throw it up.
Well, it's like a layup that you missed the wide open bucket right there, that dead space right there.
That's what I'm saying. No, like I jumped up and you just went forward with it.
Oh man, what a great start to the pod, guys.
Oh yeah.
But nonetheless, let's get back on track here before we even get started. We got a good show for you guys today. It is College World Series Finals weekend preview.
Yep.
As we have our final two set, a rematch of the 2017 final between LSU and Florida Gators.
Just
a
couple of years ago, really.
Yeah, 2017, Florida took it there, but we'll get into a deep dive there. Go over maybe a little quick reel recap from last week, which was our predictions. And now we are here, final weekend, college baseball. And then we will hop into a cool little new segment called Fact or Fiction, where we will have, I think we got, what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 topics.
Yep.
Oh man, Mickey Mouse right there. Excuse me. 7 topics where we will, I'll read off the statement and Dylan and I will say fact or fiction with it and give a reason why. And then we'll finish it off as always with 3 questions. So, not a whole lot, but it's quality over quantity, guys. That's what we
exactly.
love.
That's what our goal is more than anything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Provide you with the best content on the planet.
Of course. See, Dylan gets it.
Yeah.
As always, before we get rolling, we are at 49 subs, guys. We are 1 subscriber away from that big half a century mark. Let's get there. Saw good numbers this last episode. That's always awesome to see. Make sure you're watching, you're liking, and you're subscribing if you're not a subscriber already, because we love to see the podcast keep growing and get more. What's the word I'm looking for? Following, eyes seen. Find us. I'm posting stuff on TikTok.
We're trying to build that community. We're trying to build a good community around our content, and me and Hunter are both looking to see who's interested.
Exactly.
Wants to get involved.
Yes. Because then when we get big enough, we'll start bringing people on, and then we'll be really good. And I'll have a cooler background in my room right now. It is dirty. And
me too. It won't be my closet.
If you can tell, my camera banner just fell again. So, so once we get that 50 mark, we'll start the budget. It'll start getting bigger.
Oh yeah, just you wait till we can monetize. Oh my gosh, we're gonna be renting out a studio.
We're renting out the studio. We'll be in person. Maybe one day we'll do an in-person pod together.
That is not out of the realm of possibility. Maybe a 50 subscriber special. Just saying.
Maybe.
Very possible. Very plausible.
We'd have to really find a good day and a good location. But nevertheless,
would it be next week? I'm just saying. I got work every single day next week. It's gonna be great.
Yep. Oh, well, before Dylan rants about his work and every other day normal life, we can get rolling into our College World Series final preview, where we will discuss the final 2 teams of the college baseball season. It is the LSU Tigers, the 5th overall seed, taking on the number 2 overall seed, Florida Gators. A rematch, like we said, of the 2017 season. I got this one headphone in. It sounds weird when I got both in. So
yeah, I keep hearing you pulling it out. I'm like, oh, what's?
I don't know.
was
I
thinking,
can't.
is
I
it getting
sound
too
better.
loud?
Maybe
Is it getting too loud when you're pulling it out? Like,
no, it just sounds like I don't know. It just sounds weird. Anyway,
okay.
so we got LSU, Florida. As I predicted, I said Florida was going to win. My futures bet is looking beautiful there. And then I said, like we said, well, Dylan said Wake Forest. It's Wakes to lose. I said it was LSU's or Wakes. Came down to LSU, surviving Wake and beating them 2 out of 3 times, it turns out. I mean, one of the best games I've seen in quite a long time last night, that Wake LSU game.
Yeah.
Folks, if you didn't see that game, go watch the highlights. It was, if you like pitchers duels, you got one of the best you'll ever see.
That was one of them. I'll tell you so that night I was working, right? I was getting off work. We were closing. Not gonna say names, but somebody was counting cash, and my good pal, who is a professional baseball player, pulls out his phone and he goes, "You want to watch the end of the game with me?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go." So we're sitting there watching it, and I'm like, "Man, this is fantastic. This is a great game." Dude, and we're watching it, and it goes into extras, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to go home." Oh my god.
Yeah. Come on, the box score. So it was LSU survived Wake. They needed to beat them twice on starting Wednesday night. Took care of them, but next to a big home run by Beloso. That was that game. And then last night, which set up the big showdown between, Paul Skeens, Brett Lauder for Wake Forest, 2 guys that are projected to be top 15 picks. Skeens is projected right now to be the number 1 overall pick. Lauder, I think, is the 11th pick he's projected.
I think he could rise very quickly, though.
Could. He only lost
after a game like that.
It was only he finishes the year 15-1 with a sub 1.8 ERA.
In that game, he did everything right. He didn't give up a run in that game. But
neither team. No, it was 0-0 going into the bottom of the 11th.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And just one bad pitch ended up being the first pitch to Tommy White. Ended up being the difference maker, as it was a 2-run shot that ended up being the winner. And if, by the way, if off topic, we don't advocate for sports gambling on this podcast. But if we did, and you had -1.5 LSU, what a cover right there.
Yeah.
Because holy cow, 2-0 and the 11th, you don't see that very often.
No, you don't. And the funny thing is, before the tournament even started, one of the first things me and you said about LSU is that team is like a 3-headed monster. That it's Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, and Tommy Tanks. That's that team. That's the soul of that team. And when they needed to move on, what did we see?
We saw Skeens dominate.
We saw Cruz take his pitches, get on base. Tommy Tanks.
Yeah, and then I remember we said the biggest thing with LSU was, could the bullpen hold up?
Yep.
And they've done a great job. Riley Cooper, big man Riley Cooper, 6'2", 270. Riley Cooper has held his own. Thatcher Hurd comes in. He's been looking good. They've got their bullpen, which was the weak spot, has now been a strength of theirs. Look at the line. Paul Skeens, 8 innings of work. Another fantastic showing. Yeah. He only gave up 2 hits. Wake Forest only had 3 hits the entire game.
Yeah.
Skeens only gave up 2 hits, only walked 1, had 9 Ks, threw 120 pitches, 82 were strikes.
That's what we call dominant performance right there. That's what we absolutely call. That's a gem.
That is a Rhett Lauder, 7 innings of work. Only gave up 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, only threw 88 pitches.
Yeah.
But yeah, his ERA was 1.88, and then Skeens is 1.69. Nice.
There's a very good chance that Skeens could actually be that guy I was talking about, his teammate, in just a couple weeks. So, little thing to think about, actually. Yeah.
The play by Trey Morgan in the 8th inning, top of the 8th, they safety squeeze. Wake does to try to get the run in, and the bunt was good, just a hell of an even better play. You mean
Yeah.
did nothing wrong, did his job, but it has to be a perfect bang bang play, and it was. Because
Yeah.
if that is hit any other direction, maybe it doesn't. Maybe the outcome's different.
Yeah.
But I mean, kudos to LSU. They show up in a big way, but they get Florida, who took care of TCU the day before, got that extra day, 2 days actually. All 3 of their games they've won were by 1 run. And a cool stat I heard was they're 3 of 24. 3 for 24 with runners in scoring position this College World Series, and they're 3-0.
Yeah. I think more than anything that speaks to they played the easy side of the bracket. Let's not
that. Yep.
let's not mince any words about it. Me and you both agreed about that before it started because that was death row over there with Wake, LSU, Tennessee, and Stanford. Like that was a tough bracket to get out right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going to lean credence into what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you're going to disagree with me. Maybe you will. I think LSU is going to win this thing. Not to get too ahead of myself and make my prediction or anything, but LSU to me had looked so good in spots where they needed to look good, to the point where it's like, man, how do you beat that team?
Yeah. It'll just be interesting to see because Florida's pitching staff is going to be better set up, especially their starters.
Yeah.
Because Skeen's not going to be able to be used. I mean, he won't be used at least till if they need him late game 2. If not, otherwise it won't be till maybe game 3 if it gets to a game 3. So I think Florida has a setup there because now you're going to have Spro and what's the other guy's name? Their better guy starts with a W. His name is oh man, what's his last name? Waldrip. You're gonna have Waldrip, and then Sproat, and then Caglione pitched the other day, so he'll be fine. They still got they still got your arms in Neely, Cade Fisher. Yep. I think pitching wise, Florida's gonna have the edge going into this, and like you said, they did get a nice benefit of the doubt being in that Pool A. They just had to take care of business. They survived Virginia, which they almost lost that. They almost blew it against Oral. Kudos to Oral Roberts. A nice showing there. TCU, not a bad ball club. They it caught fire late going into the tournament or into the Omaha. They were 9-0. Ended up dropping the first one. And then bounced back. But Florida definitely had benefit of the doubt. I think the offense has got to get going a little bit more. They got to take advantage, I think. And but I would lean LSU offensively, but pitching, pitching obviously I think has
Florida has the edge pitching.
I think Florida's offense is good enough to score runs. I mean, they got dudes too. You have Langford, you have Kirk Curlin, you have BT Riopel, you got Ty Evans who's come out of nowhere. You got who's some other Josh Rivera at shortstop. He has 2 home runs this College World Series. I mean, like they got dudes. So I'm going to kind of go against you. I think Florida has the advantage, especially now they also got 2 days rest. That pitching staff, especially here in this tournament, you get 2 days off is so big. Also, weird thing. Why did they wait till game 1 for tomorrow instead of tonight?
I don't know. Maybe so they can get that Saturday night TV money.
Well, they were going to get it anyway. But now, so it's weird because it's just weird because now you wait Saturday. I mean, I guess, and because you don't want teams playing back-to-back nights.
Well, I think it's a couple of reasons. I think it's the back-to-back nights, and then I also think they say TV money in general is just better on Saturdays. The Saturday nights.
And then Sunday, they won't play till Sunday afternoon. They'll be at 3. And then Monday, I would assume at night. I mean, it does help. I mean, LSU does get a nice little break there because that would have been their 3rd game in 3 nights.
Yeah.
So, take that as it is. I think Florida probably wishes maybe because you
They
don't
didn't
want to
get
just
that extra.
you don't want to be
You don't
sitting
want to let
around. You saw
LSU
it.
relax.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to. It kills momentum. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Yeah.
you saw it in the Stanley Cup final, or you saw
I
it
mean,
with you saw it in the Stanley Cup
it's,
final like the Panthers.
yeah.
They had 10 days off before game one, and they
Mhm.
completely lost all momentum.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it last year in the MLB playoffs. All the teams that got buys
The Braves,
outside of Houston lost.
yeah,
The
the Braves
Braves,
looked
the
horrible.
Dodgers,
They
like
just looked slow and sluggish, and you saw
the
teams,
Yankees,
the
like
Padres
all
and
those.
Padres, Phillies. They looked like
Mhm.
just momentum is such a huge thing in sports. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So when you're
Mhm.
able to just let it keep rolling and not have to
I
wait,
think especially a sport like baseball where it's
for sure.
absolutely you get into a groove and you can just see it. You take
Yeah.
10 days off, you lose that whatever you were seeing, you lose that little mechanic you had added and you didn't even notice, and then bam, everything's off and you can't hit anything.
It's funny because if you're a hitter, you
Mhm.
don't want that days off, especially like what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like you want to
Yeah.
be in that group. But I mean, if you're a pitcher, you're like, give me all the days off.
You're like, give me 10 days off. Let me
Right?
relax. Let
Yeah.
me breathe.
So
It's like
yeah,
my arm's gonna fall off.
I think Florida takes care of this, and
Mhm.
I don't want to say 2 games because you want a good series, but I could see a possibility where I think this could go only 2 games. I think
Okay.
Florida could win both of these because they got the pitching. I think
Mhm.
pitching in the series is big. If LSU's bullpen has got to come up clutch again, I just
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to be able to escape both Wake and Florida like that. And for that,
Mhm.
I'm going to give the nod to the Gators.
I'm gonna give the nod to the Tigers just because when you have Dylan Cruz offensively is probably one of the best offensive college baseball players I've ever seen.
Hmm.
When you look at his slash line, it's like, oh my god. You know what I
He
mean?
has
He hits 430.
432, I think it was.
Yeah. Had a over 500 on base percentage.
There was this thing they said last night where he has 2 dominant eyes.
Yeah.
So he's able to
That
see the
was
ball better than everyone else.
that was silly. I got to be honest, I was like that. Shut up.
That's just one of those weird, but
That's
not
like a
just dumb
super
stat.
that's the most ESPN stat I've ever heard. But with him and then you got Tommy White right behind him
Who has
who
100
yeah,
RBIs?
he crushes the ball. But the biggest reason why he has so many RBIs is because Cruz gets on base 50% of the time.
Hmm.
Every other at bat, this guy will get to first base.
Yep.
It's just one of those things where he can absolutely, just him being in the lineup can crush a pitcher's momentum because he
Yeah.
knows how to just work a pitcher out. He can
Yep.
turn an at bat. You can see a pitcher roll, and he can turn one at bat into 10 pitches and a walk. And a pitcher's just good. He's like, I can't do anything. What am I doing right?
Yeah. So I mean, if Florida's able to neutralize them,
Hmm. Then yeah, I agree with you.
big
I
time.
think Florida was, but I just don't think with the groove they're in right now because they were
I would
playing great against Wake.
honestly, they're not even the best groups for the hitter
Yeah.
is Trey Morgan probably
Yep.
and
Hmm.
Beloso, who's been their best hitter so far. He's been their best hitter so far, and
Yeah. In the
but yeah,
tournament. Yeah.
but I think Cruz and Tommy White starting to come on waking up a little bit in this
Yeah.
CWS. But I just think the Gators just have too much, and I think having that extra couple days rest, plus alongside with that pitching staff getting fully rested now. I mean, I just can't see a world. I don't think where Florida doesn't win this.
That's fair.
And
I think.
Florida's only lost 1 game this entire postseason.
Mhm.
I can't. I think they finish it off.
I think LSU is able to do it. 3 games though.
3 games. 3 games. Yeah, I think Florida in 2.
Okay.
But there's no shot because I could see a realm where
I
LSU.
just if LSU gets to game 3 and they pull out Skeens, right?
If Skeens pitches,
Hmm.
how long do you think? How effective will he be though?
I
This will
think
be it's a bit because he's coming off now. I think it's three straight starts now. Well,
Mhm.
he started 2 games. This is no 4 straight starts, 4 starts in a
Yeah,
row where he's thrown over 110 pitches.
yeah.
How
But
much
he's just a
stamina does he have?
workhorse. That's just he's a workhorse pitcher though. Like that's his style. Is that whenever he goes out, he
Yeah,
throws 100 pitches. He goes as many innings as possible. He strikes out a ton of guys. So I think it's not going to be as noticeable in the tournament. I think when we get to the pros, then you're going to be like, man, he should not have pitched that time because he's going to get Tommy John
that's
right away. But
that's what like you worry about. Like, I mean, are you worried? If are you worried as just an overall fan that LSU's you
Mhm.
think over relying too much on him?
Probably, yeah, I got to be honest, probably they are. But in that kind of situation, you kind of have to.
But is
So
that a
like,
good
there's not.
thing?
It's not a good thing, but it's just the way the sport is,
I mean, you think Skeens is
especially with
like
pitchers.
I think you think Skeens is like okay, even though like he's like give me the ball, and you got to have
Yeah. Mhm.
that competitive mindset, like do whatever it
Yeah.
takes to win. But it's like
Mhm.
same time you got to know like Jay Johnson's got to know or Jay Johnson, Wes Johnson, shout
Yeah.
out New Georgia Bulldogs head coach. Uh, you got to know in the back of your head like this guy's got a future he's supposed to
Yeah.
have. Like it can't be. I know you're trying to do whatever it takes to win, but like
So I think they probably obviously they would know more than we do, right?
for
So
sure.
I would think so. I would think they know how far he can really go, right? So like if he
Yeah.
gets a next start and they're like, okay, you're capped at 80 pitches.
Yeah.
Like once you get to 80 pitches, we're gonna pull you. We're not gonna let you go past 80 pitches because your arm's not safe after that, right?
No.
I think obviously that could happen. That's a very real possibility, but I don't know. I don't know the behind the scenes. I don't know how how Paul Skeens how his arm is feeling or anything like that. But
Mhm.
I would think
Yeah.
LSU would know. I feel
You
like that'd be
gotta
the first thing the coaches are like is protect his arm.
protect the long because he's got such a big
And the
future
draft's
ahead
coming
of him.
up.
Big
The
future ahead
draft's
of him.
just a
And you
couple weeks
just don't
away.
want you just don't want to like impact someone's longevity
Hmm.
by over relying on him. Because it also
Yeah,
kind of looks like then you're like the other guys pitching, the staff, it's like, we don't trust you.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
All right. So you have Florida, or no, I have Florida. You have LSU,
Yep.
and those are our predictions. It's been a great season, college baseball.
Yeah, it has.
We can't
Well,
wait to watch
I
it.
don't know if it's been a great season. I don't know
Well,
about that, but
not for you guys, but
or you don't even hate like that. You guys didn't play good either.
true. Better. We're closer than you were. Closer than you were.
Doesn't mean much.
You guys didn't even qualify for your tournament, your conference tournament.
as
That's right.
far as I'm
That's right.
concerned,
Shut your mouth.
if you don't
Shut
go to
your
the
mouth.
tournament, did it even matter?
Yes. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Okay, we're gonna move on now to
All right.
our
Let's
new
move on to the
segment
next topic.
called Fact or Fiction, where Dylan will be wrong
Mhm.
and Hunter will always be right. Anyway,
Okay.
busting out the old rundown notepad. This is actually just like an art canvas book that I found. I just use it.
Seems like a very nice book, though.
Hey, it is.
You get some doodles in there. Get some doodles in there.
Well, my artistic ability is not there, so that's why we have you.
yeah.
I'm just here to talk sports, not drawing. All right, so we got 7 topics for you guys, and I'll read it off, and Dylan will give his opinion. I'll give mine, and we'll bust this out and run through this. However works it. All right, Dylan. Fact or fiction? Ohio State fails to win the East this year.
Fact.
Okay.
I think fact. Do you want me to go into why, or
Yeah.
do you want to give your opinion? Okay.
Yeah, give your opinion.
So, I think Michigan's still better.
Okay.
We do have some Ohio State listeners, so I know I'm going to get some angry comments next time I show up to work. So, I'll give a little insight. I just think right this second, Michigan has consistency. They have a basis. It feels like after losing CJ Stroud, to a degree, Ohio State is having to restart, pull back, rethink What are we doing? Why can't we keep up? I think it's going to take a year for them to sit and do that. So I think we might see even a slide to third place in the East behind Penn State.
Okay.
I don't feel like that's maybe maybe I'm a little bit crazy on that one, but I just think that Ryan Day and his Ohio State team, just like the program in general, are not set up to win a title at the moment.
So
There's
I'm gonna.
too many problems with how the roster is and how they're coached. So
Yeah.
I think they need to sit back and like figure out the little problems. Maybe you need to fire some guys in that coaching staff because there's some dudes who they probably some of those guys in that defensive staff probably do need to get fired. Let's be honest here. There were some glaring problems even with the new defensive coordinator where it's like,
Mhm.
man, they got too much talent to be that bad on defense.
So, I'm going to say fact, but I
Mhm.
will say I will disagree with you with the fact that you're kind of saying that, like, I'm kind of perceiving it like you're thinking it's like
Yeah.
a rebuilding year, right?
I think it is for them.
So I disagree there.
Mhm.
And one of our good Ohio State friends uh, is telling me that I think they're offensively, I think they're fine. They've still
Yeah.
got Marvin Harrison coming back. They got Julian Fleming
Mhm.
coming back. They got Trayvon Henderson coming back. They have the other
Yeah.
running back, whoever there was, Williams, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
I believe the starter, forget his name. No, people are going to kill me for that. That the projected starter was Marvin Harrison's old high school quarterback.
Yeah, I remember seeing
So they
that.
got that. Defensively, they got most of their guys coming back.
Mhm.
Right there. So I do think the defensively they got to figure out something. I think Jim Knowles needs to
Yeah.
be his second year,
Mhm.
maybe get something better traction in. But I do think that they could just be legitly another workhorse team,
Yeah.
but fail again. I don't think they're as stacked up as Michigan is, especially
Mhm.
physicality wise. And eventually, when you get into these games in December,
Mhm.
late November, December, that's physicality is
Yeah.
going to overcome this. And I think Ohio State's going to be too much where I don't see them going into the big house and winning.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
I don't see it
Michigan wins
either.
that again.
Mhm.
If they get beat out, and I mean beat out like they had the last 2 years, where they get
Mhm.
just outmanned and outclassed in the trenches,
Yeah.
and last year vertically in the air,
Yeah.
there's going to be some Ohio State fans and boosters and alumni
Yeah.
people are not going to be happy. They're going to be
Mhm.
asking some questions and maybe
Yeah.
asking for some jobs to be replaced. So,
Yeah.
especially on the defensive side. So,
Yeah, no,
because
and yeah,
you
it's
nobody cares if you're an Ohio State fan. You do not
mhm.
care about Penn State. You don't care about playing Wisconsin. You don't care about playing Purdue,
Mhm.
Nebraska, anything. It's about playing or Michigan State. It's about playing Michigan and
Yeah.
beating them and then winning championships. It's beating Michigan. You have two goals: beating Michigan and winning national titles.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, Ryan Day has yet to do that. And Harbaugh now has his number, it seems, physically up in the
Mhm.
trenches. And if they get bullied again, they're not. Some questions are going to be asked. So I will say again, fact: they won't win the East.
Yep.
I don't think they'll win the East. I have Michigan winning it, but
Me too.
I think they could finish second. I don't think it's a rebuilding year because I think what we see, what are these quarterbacks just
Mhm.
come and they get plugged in because the weapons are so good that
Yeah.
you know
I think at this point we're due that we're gonna have some sort of problem at first because
they
there's
could.
been too many times they've just been able to plug and press quarterbacks, and maybe that's just how their offense works, where they can do that,
I
and
think
they
it
recruit
is.
so well they can. But they don't have on the defensive side, they don't have a Chase Young or Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa like they had under most of the years with Meyer. So it's like they don't even have a presence setter on the
Well, they
defensive
got
side. I
they
think
got
that's my biggest issue.
well they have that guy. What's that freshman name? Oh gosh, it's that one long like Hawaiian name.
Hmm. I know
They
who you're
got
talking about.
Steel
I know.
Chambers. They have Steel
Yeah.
Chambers coming back. They got some guys on the outside. Like their defense is good, but it's just they're just physically they haven't been able. They've been getting
Yeah.
bullied up front.
Hmm.
Um, but we'll move on now to our next fact or fiction.
Yeah. Yep.
This is
Okay.
good. This is good. We're getting
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
argument debate. All right, fact or fiction, Dylan. Arch Manning freshman at Texas, will play at least 5 games this year?
I'm gonna go with fiction.
Okay.
I'm gonna go fiction. Pretty hard fiction too. I think that's a solid no. I just don't think they're gonna even push him to play or push him to take the starting job. I think it's absolutely gonna be a year where they just want him to sit behind, learn the system, and prepare him to take over next year.
Do you think he he might say he agrees with that. Do you
Mhm.
think he will push him to possibly transferring? They
I
tell him,
don't.
listen, you're not going to play.
I don't, only because of his family. I don't think his family's gonna let him.
Let him just have to say, listen, dude, stick it out.
Yeah, just because the family he came from with how the family's image was after Eli Manning not wanting to go to San Diego, like that hurt that family's image really bad. So I guarantee you Peyton is probably telling him, Uncle Archie or Grandpa Archie, Uncle Eli, they're probably all telling him like, sit it out, just wait at Texas, you'll get your time, and they probably have their way with the coaching staff anyways.
Yeah. I'll say fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Not as hard though, because again, I think if Quinn Ewers struggles out of the gate, you know what these fans, and again, it always relates back to the boosters and the fans and the media. What are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to be keep pushing until Sark.
Yeah.
And Sark, you already know he's kind of seat's getting a little warm.
His seat is definitely warm.
The bath water is getting warm. It's a bath gets good warm temp right now. Room temp.
I think that's just part of the job in Austin. Like you just have to kind of accept
it. Is. But what has he done to this point? You know what I mean?
He's won 8 games in 9 games, right?
No Big 12 titles.
No Big 12 titles.
No New Year's Six bowls.
The one thing he does have under his resume is he has beaten Oklahoma. And he's beaten them bad.
All right, but
and that to boosters looks good.
It is.
Even when Oklahoma, you should be expected to. It still looks good for the boosters that hey, at least it looks like you're making progress.
Yeah, but
with
no
Texas,
New Year's. Yeah. But no New Year's Six bowl game appearances.
Yep.
And now you got to go to the SEC. So I do think if Quinn Ewers struggles a little bit out of the gate, we'll say 2 or 3 games. Let me pull up their schedule real quick.
I just think
that people are. It's going to be like that. Never when a couple years ago when Spencer Rattler struggled and then they brought Williams in. Like they just kept harping, and then they eventually brought him in, and then Spencer Rattler never got the shot back.
Yeah. So only thing I think with that is because I think if we hear any chattering like that, the most we'll see him dressed on the sideline.
I think he'll dress. I think he'll be a backup.
I don't think he'll dress every game, just because I think the expectation is absolutely we're gonna save your red shirt.
Well, you can dress, you just can't play.
No, that's what I mean though, is that like they're not gonna have him dress every game because they're gonna be like, we don't want 3 quarterbacks on the sideline for this game.
Maybe
we're playing whoever. They're just gonna dress for like Oklahoma, but
look at their schedule. So they open up with Rice and then go to Bama, at home against Wyoming, at Baylor, at home against Kansas, and it's the Cotton Bowl or the Oklahoma game. Then they're at Houston, at home against BYU, at home against K-State, at TCU, at Iowa State, and then at home against Texas Tech. So the schedule's not overly powerful.
It's not.
So it's not bad for them. But we did see Ewers struggle a little bit down the stretch after coming back from that injury. Again, I think it is fiction too, but 3 games.
I just don't see. I don't see
3 games. 3
because
games.
the first game I could imagine him struggling is like Bama, right? And I don't see in any real scenario where they put in the freshman with no experience up against Alabama. You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Well, no, unless there's like an injury situation.
Like an injury situation. But even then, I don't think you put in Manning, because I think you go, we don't want to overboard you with anything. We're gonna put in who's their backup. Is Card still there, or did he transfer out?
He transferred. It's that the other guy. But I mean, we saw this number. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Like 2017. Who was it? It was what's his name? Jacob Eason for Georgia
Yeah.
was a starter.
Mhm.
Came back. Our first game of the year got hurt. Jake Fromm comes in,
Yep.
true freshman, leads him to national title.
Yep.
But yeah. All right, we'll move on
Yep.
before we get too much in there. USC, fact or fiction? USC wins the Pac-12.
I'm gonna go fact.
Okay.
I know I think this is probably gonna be the biggest one we're gonna disagree on. I just think this year, USC already last year won 10 games. Their defense didn't look great, but
It
their
looked
offense
atrocious.
was
That's
you're yeah. But their
continue.
offense was just dominant. They could
Mhm.
score on anybody whenever they wanted.
Yes.
And year 2 for Lincoln Riley, right? I'm not in the program, don't have insider knowledge, but I would assume the plan is let's go right at what everybody's criticizing us for, the defense. So I would imagine because they added some guys in the portal too, if I'm right, and they had a pretty good signing class.
Yeah.
So
They
I
got
think
Bear
they
Alexander.
have talent on the defensive side.
Mhm.
What's up?
No, they got Bear
Okay.
Alexander
So,
from UGA.
Yeah, I would say, and you and I both remember watching last year. Their defense wasn't very good at stopping. They were
Oh, it
only
was
good at
atrocious.
turning the ball over. They could
They
turn
were
the
good
ball
at-
over though.
They were like top 10 in the country in picks.
Yeah, it was like
But
ridiculous.
every other category were like ranked 300.
Yeah. So I think it's very realistic to say they could win it, just only because I think their offense is the class of the Pac-12, and I think if they, year 2, the expectations are going to be higher, and I think the goal is to live up to them. I think they could win the Pac-12 easily.
I'm going to say fiction.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
thing
No, I thought
fiction.
you would. I thought you would.
So here's my thing.
Mhm.
What's Lincoln Riley doing?
He's an offensive guru.
And that's as far as he is.
Yeah.
Didn't make any changes as far as I know, unless
Mhm.
at the defensive coordinator spot.
No,
Defensively.
he kept the defensive coordinator. I forget his name,
Okay.
but same one he had at Oklahoma.
Okay. And Oklahoma was this outstanding defense. And then
Yeah.
USC defense. And what did we see when USC struggles offensively?
They couldn't win.
They couldn't win. Do I need to
Yeah.
watch the Utah game twice?
Yeah.
What happens when a team A
Mhm.
is able to pound for pound keep up with you, and B
Yeah.
keeps your offense in check, and C overpowers you by running the football?
Yeah.
Um,
I
that Pac-12 title
yeah.
game was all I needed to see to know what had been. It was kind of like a dam that had started to show some cracks, but they were kind of just paving it over,
Yeah.
kind of covering it up some. And then just for some reason, a little extra rain, which was that Utah offense, and it just, boom, just broke free.
Mhm.
The dam broke, water starts flooding through. That's the defense. If they can't give up. They were
Yeah.
giving up like 35 points a game.
Yeah, they were.
It was almost like over 300 yards offensively they were giving up.
Mhm.
You can't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
teams were going. I felt like teams were getting like 8 to 10 yards like every play.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah.
I think Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams. But it's just like I think teams like Utah is still going to be a contender. You still got what's his
Cameron
name?
Rising.
Cam Rising back for
Yep.
another year. You got, and they're back-to-back Pac-12 champs. For all we know, they're the kings of the Pac-12 right now.
Yeah.
You got Oregon, who I think is going to be better. Washington was a legit shot. Oregon
Yeah.
State, Colorado might be a sneaky one.
I don't see it this year. Maybe next year.
Maybe, but
I think
there's
we'll need a year of Colorado first. I think
too
we gotta
many.
slow
I
down
think there's
Colorado.
too many teams that are going to be physically better. I think Oregon,
Mm.
Utah, and Washington are physically just better defensively. Oregon State gave them a run for their money last year. Almost beat them then. Too many defensively better teams that are more physical. It's kind of like Michigan overpowering Ohio State some, where I think offensively it'll only take you so far. You got to have some sort of defensive stand, and I just don't see it again happening. And that's why I think fiction.
That's fair. I just think it's the facts.
It's not, but that's why we play this game. Fact or fiction.
Yep.
Where Dylan's a lot of fiction.
Okay.
And I'm a lot of facts. All right. Here we go. Fact or fiction, Mr. Dylan?
Yep.
Actually, I'll start this time.
Okay.
Fact or fiction for me. Georgia, the back-to-back reigning defending national champions, win their third straight title. Fact or fiction? And I will say, just for this main reason, fact. Here's why. The schedule sets up so much nicer than what they're going to get next year. You know, you start off with UT Martin, and then I think it's Ball State, and then it's South Carolina, and then I think it's UAB, and then you get into SEC play. But the toughest game you play, you go to Auburn, and you go to Tennessee. Those are your two biggest away games. Other than that, you get Kentucky at home, you get Missouri at home, you get Ole Miss at home. You get Georgia Tech. You go to Georgia Tech. And you get South Carolina at home. Carson Beck, who's going to start this year, has been in the system now for this will be his third year. He's been sitting, waiting. He's played a couple times in junk time. I just think too many offensive weapons coming back. You have Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, Arian Smith. You got Lovett and Ra Thomas coming out of the portal. You have Oscar Delp behind Bowers. Yeah. I think you have Kenny McIntosh coming back. You have Deshaun Edwards coming back. You have Branson Robinson there. Too many weapons. Defensively, they're still going to be the best team in the country, I think. And I think I don't think they get pushed around till maybe, although it'll be an early test at Jordan Hare, especially the new quarterback. Yeah. But I think defensively, they're just so much better. Auburn, I don't see as a threat unless they sleepwalk it in. The biggest threat I can't see maybe is until Tennessee or the SEC title. And if they get through that, I mean, where are they going to get pushed around? You know what I mean? So that's why I think fact. If we were talking about this next year, that's a different story because I think they got some bigger competition.
4 times straight is like.
And 4 times crazy. With the new playoff format. Which would be a whole nother scale of legacy. This is a Kirby Smart legacy year. Watch. That's why I'm saying fact. Only because the schedule is a lot better than what people think.
Yeah. So I also think it's fact. Less of what Hunter said with the schedule because I think they're going to be given, no matter what, they're going to be given kind of.
Their over-under is 11.5.
Yeah, exactly. Their leeway is the fact that if they don't lose, then they won't fall out, and they're not gonna play a team that's better than them. Like this is the truth of the matter is that unless a team comes out of nowhere and proves to me and you right now that they're just as physically good, you know, on both sides of the ball as Georgia, then I don't understand a single reason why I should even give credence to the idea of another team winning the national championship this year.
And
there's just nobody who's close.
No. And if you look, so last year's team, defensively at least, was super young. Only had, I think, 3 or 4 seniors on that entire defense. You have a couple guys coming back on the defensive line. You have guys like Jalen Walker, who's going to have a bigger role this year. You got guys like, you have Malachi Starks, who's going to get now that second year in, who was a stud as true freshman. He was a freshman. You got Jamon Dumas-Johnson coming back for his junior year. His redshirt junior year. You got guys like Nazir Stackhouse and Zion Logue up the big boys up front. There's another guy. Forget his name. You have Kamari Lassiter coming back. These guys are all younger guys. If not, if they were either sophomores last year, freshmen starting, or they're going to be seniors this year. A lot of experience now. That's last year's team. defensively, I think they're going to be fine. Offensively, I think they're going to be fine. And like we're saying, schedule sets up super nice. And they got away with, you get away with not having to go to Oklahoma this year.
Obviously, but they'll play them next year, so it's not like.
Well, they won't play them next year, but they go to Texas next year.
Yeah. No, but they will eventually play them. Mm-hmm. They're not ducking them. They're just playing them later.
They still won't ever go to Texas A&M.
Yep.
But yeah,
who cares?
Give us the
Kyle
Dogs.
Field's overrated.
Dogs. They're right now on pretty much every sports book. They're plus 250, leading the way to win it all for the third straight title. Oh, 3-peat, baby, 3. Put them up, Dylan. 3s.
I'm not putting up the 3.
Put them up 3s, Dylan. Put them up.
You never know.
All right,
and they're not going to play another SEC team, so in the playoff.
Well, you never know. Okay, that actually leads us to our next segment. It's a nice little transition you did right there.
Yeah,
our next fact or fiction is, Dylan, Alabama gets to the playoff.
Well, you already know my opinion on this. No, they're not going to the playoff. I am very certain, without a doubt in my mind, we're only going to see one SEC team in the playoff next year.
This 2023.
Yeah, this upcoming season. Really? This upcoming season, we're only going to have one SEC team in the playoff.
That's a hot take,
because maybe it's a hot take. I just think it's going to be Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, and then whoever wins the ACC and Pac-12 as 3 and 4.
Okay, so I'm going to say fact, only because if it's going to come down to if Bama LSU, I think either one of those teams is a legit shot to get it. Does LSU have a down year after overachieving? Because that could be a real thing. I don't think it'll happen, but you never know. Alabama's win total's set at 10.5, which I think is maybe a game too high, but LSU's is only 9.5. So I think LSU's better on paper right now than Alabama, but a lot of media guys are thinking LSU or Bama's. This is like the year where everyone's sleeping on Bama. They're all poor Bama. Yeah. Like, watch. They're all saying in Bama win the national title this year. This would be a classic Saban to get in year, especially after last year not playing so well. And they've been able to sneak in before. Yeah. Do they do it again? Maybe.
Well, they could.
I think
it's not impossible.
I don't see it happening. They do get LSU at home this year, and they do get Tennessee at home, which does help. They have to go to Auburn, which is Saban always plays poorly there.
Yep.
Other than that, you never know. They get Ole Miss at home. I'm not saying that Bama might sneak. It's never. I mean, you never want to doubt on Alabama. That's the issue. Never want to doubt on.
I get the, you never want to bet against Nick Saban, right? The same way people say about Brady.
And Pac-12 wise, I don't mind the idea. But what have we seen, like the Pac-12 and what the Big 12 do to each other? They they're a bunch of cannibals. They just eat and kill each other. And
I don't think you're wrong. What I think is going to happen is one of either Oregon, Utah, or USC is going to go 12-1.
You think?
And they're going to be the I think so.
Maybe one team.
That's what I'm saying. One of those 3 is going to go 12-1.
That's crazy.
Win the conference and go to the playoff. Because there's no way we're going to miss the Pac-12 for this many years.
It always seems like the one team that has the shot either loses like the final couple weeks or they just blow it. They crap their pants in the conference championship game.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. But I just think this is going to be the year because we just see it every single year where the Pac-12 eats itself alive. There has to be a year where one team puts the foot down, separates himself from the rest of the pack. I think it's going to be USC personally. I know you think differently, but that's just I just think one of those 3 at least is going to separate themselves. And then I do think Florida State or Clemson is going to win the ACC and just have a good resume.
Yeah.
Because
hopefully the ACC shows up this year, though.
Well, if Florida State beats LSU to start the season,
yeah, I mean,
they beat Clemson, and then they have one of the easiest schedules in the country.
But that easy part, same thing with Georgia. It never is like a positive, it seems like. It's always like a negative.
It definitely isn't a positive, but the positive is going to be is that they're going to have 2 top 10 teams.
Got to at least split those 2 games.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. Is if they beat LSU and Clemson, and then they have an easy schedule from there, they're almost like they're knocking on the door right away to be the 3 seed.
Yeah.
Florida, yeah, you know what I mean. So
As much as I hate him, never doubt him. Never. I think quarterback's gonna be the biggest.
I don't see
I
this
just
year, man.
the quarterback situation is gonna be fascinating because
Mhm.
on paper nobody stands out. Nobody
Yeah.
scares you. They don't really have as many good weapons on the outside as they have recently.
They
But
haven't been
never sleep on it.
recruiting. Like they haven't been recruiting
Well,
quarterback
quarterback, yeah.
quarterback as well as they have been in the past. You know what I
They
mean?
have a good guy. They have a good guy coming in next year. I've
Yeah,
seen
but
because he was just at the Elite 11.
yeah,
He, like, was one
this
of the better
guy they
ones.
have the guys they have right now on their roster. None of them stick out, and they didn't bring in a transfer, which they very well could.
Well, they did, and he's not even a top 15 quarterback in the country.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's you know what I mean. They didn't bring out one of they could have probably got Tanner Mordecai if they really pushed, which would have been
nope.
if they would have landed like a Tanner Mordecai. I would have been like, throw your hands up in the air. I think this team is probably the best in the West. You know what I mean? They're like,
But you know
they
who
have a
did?
legit guy.
Fickle and the gang.
Yeah.
Wisconsin Badgers. Badgers. Shout out, Big Cat. Badger gang.
Mhm.
All right, we'll move on.
Yeah.
UF, Dylan, sudden spike.
Yep.
Their sudden spike in the 2024 recruiting class have jumped all the way up to second right now.
Yeah.
They were at 13. They're now at 2 behind the UGA or Georgia Bulldogs, I should say.
Yep.
Their sudden spike, Dylan, in their 2024 recruiting rankings should have other teams worried. Like example, Florida State, Miami, and all the others. We'll stick with Florida schools, but it could be any school.
Yep.
Should they should be worried, Dylan? Fact or fiction?
Fiction. We already know from this last recruiting cycle, it really doesn't mean anything because Florida checks seem to bounce.
Oh,
So I wouldn't be as a fan of a rival school or just a school in general that competes recruiting wise with Florida, right?
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be the most scared of them only because of the fact that they have yet to prove in the last really 7-8 years that they can consistently recruit and not just recruit them, but actually get those guys to go to the campus.
Yeah.
They have done this time and time again. It happened a ton during Dan Mullen's time at Florida, where they would be seemingly pull in a great class, right? A top 15 class. And then all of a sudden you read about it and you're like, wait, why did 6 of the guys not end up enrolling at Florida? They were committed. They signed letters of commitment and then they never ended up showing up at campus. So it was just like, and then we all saw this last recruiting cycle where they couldn't pay their top quarterback recruit the money they told him they were going to pay him. And then, you know what I mean? So right now, and this, where we're sitting right now, unless something changes, I don't think there's a reason to fear recruiting in Florida because I just don't know, especially how early it is, but I don't know how many of those guys are actually going to end up going to Florida.
Okay, I will say, I'll agree. I'll say fiction, only because it's a little early. Now, if they are able to get some of these guys and officially get them, in November, December, January, and then officially like in March, I think is the last day.
Yeah,
that's something.
Right. That is something. Yeah, absolutely.
I think also, you see this a lot. Depending on how bad Florida is this year, do they fire Napier or do maybe does the AD say, does Florida or the athletic director or athletics and the alumni and boosters, do they say, all right, well, he's got a class he's building a class. We'll give him another year. But if they can him for going maybe 2 or 3 wins, that's when the decommitments start. And then it's okay. I'm not.
It's going to get worse from there.
That's my only issue. That it's now. I will say if Florida's like one of those teams that's like another like Tennessee, where they're kind of just sleeping giant again.
Yeah,
you want to see Florida competitive, but at the same time, it's like they have so
many problems there right now.
Every time they seem to kind of get over one hump, another one starts up, and again, are they able to clear it? Maybe. I think that just the biggest thing is depends on how this upcoming season goes. Their
Yeah.
win total is set at 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot. I don't think they'll
Yeah.
go to a bowl game, and that's just
I
bluntly
don't think they go to Boogie, man.
ask. Now, I do think again, if they keep Napier and he's able to get some of these guys, he has 9 commitments, and I
Yeah.
think 7 of them or 8 of them are 7 or 8 of them are all 4 stars. So he's got some dudes. Now, will they stay? We see this all the time. I'm committed.
Mhm.
3 months later, I'm decommitted and I'm heading somewhere else.
I'm keeping you guys in my interest, but I decided I need to think more
reopened
about
up
this
my
topic.
I've reopened up
Yeah.
my commitment, whatever you want to call it.
I'm not going to your school. That's what it means.
Yeah. So
I don't know why they don't just say it, but I'm not going to your school. But I think if Florida only wins 3 games this year, there is not a chance Billy Napier does not get fired. Because even if the athletic director doesn't want to fire him, there's no way the boosters, who, by the way, are one of the most insane booster groups in the country, like they freak out about everything.
yeah.
Like they're an extremely volatile group. I mean, they fired a guy who took them to the SEC championship the year before in the middle of the, you know what I mean? Like they're a very volatile group, and that fan base freaks out about everything. So if you are at any other school and you win 3 wins this year, I think a lot of schools will be like, okay, well, we're going to keep you because of the recruiting class. At Florida, you will get fired.
Yeah.
Like that's a school where you can get fired for having a top 2 recruiting class, but not winning on the field with horrible, no, not horrible, but like below average talent compared to who you're wanting to go against.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So that's just what I think. So yeah, they win
Hey.
3 games, doesn't matter. They get those recruits, then it's a big deal.
Yes.
But it's July, so those recruits literally mean nothing right now,
True.
as far as I'm concerned.
Sure. All right. Our final fact or fiction topic
Mhm.
is Nebraska, Dylan, gets to bowl eligibility before Colorado. Fact or fiction?
So I think the easiest way to say this is I don't think either team makes bowl eligibility this year.
No, but this is just saying in general.
However,
this is a race now to see who's going to get there.
I think Nebraska will be first because I think they'll become bowl eligible with 6 wins next year. I think Colorado's just going to be a little bit under that just because I think Colorado, you're going to be up in a bit more of an uphill battle with how much the Pac-12 competition has risen in just the last couple of years. And the Big 12's competition has kind of dropped.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying. Because
Um,
I think in the Big 12, they have the ability, because they get to play, they play in the West, so they're going to play.
Big Ten, you mean?
What? Or big, yeah. But Nebraska's going to get to play, Northwestern. They're going to play Iowa.
Northwestern, and it's Iowa, Minnesota, Purdue, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But I think after this year though, I think they're getting rid of the division.
Yeah, but I think they'll play a lot of the same teams every year though.
Could be. I haven't looked too much into the Big Ten.
Unless they end up playing like Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State in the same year. I wouldn't really worry because most of the teams in the Big Ten are not very good. Like if they end up playing, Rutgers and Indiana and Michigan State, it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
they play who they are.
I saw a thing where it was next year. I think UCLA has to go to Rutgers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just
which is amazing, by the way.
Put that on prime time, just because of the travel.
That is LA to New York.
Put it on noon kickoff, 11 a.m. and just get us watching UCLA play Rutgers.
Yeah. Kids on the West Coast won't even know what time it is.
That'll be a 9 a.m. kick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say fiction here. I think Colorado has. I think this is the first. This will be a little like a trial year in a sense.
Yeah.
For Dion in the gang.
Yeah.
I think I saw a number. They've had 76. They pulled 76 people out of the portal.
Yeah.
And I think this is a nice trial year. I think they win 4 games at most, but I don't think Nebraska has proven anything to me.
Mhm.
I think Matt Rule is a nice hire.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Nebraska's never seemed to be able to get anything ever going. I think
Yeah.
Colorado, if they have a solid year, even if they only win 3 or 4 games, if they're able to show that they're competing and not just
Mhm.
getting blown out every week, I think that's big for Dion and the
Yeah.
gang. I think that shows, like, listen, we may not be here this year,
Yeah.
but you see we're competing with these guys. Come
Mhm.
here and we're going to have something brewing.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I think Colorado, and I do think I saw something that possibly Colorado and Utah might be the next 2 teams to hop the Pac-12 chip and head to the Big 12.
Mhm.
So I think conference is a little bit easier,
Yeah.
and I think that helps. Whereas Nebraska, unless I'm seeing someone else, they're still going to have to deal with. Now you'll have to deal with USC, UCLA, Ohio State, Michigan,
Mhm.
Michigan State, Wisconsin, still Minnesota. Like, I think the
Yeah.
gauntlet is. I think it's not really. I mean, call it a gauntlet maybe, but I just think that Colorado has an easier almost path to get the 6 wins. Still got to do
Mhm.
it, but I think they get there first. I'm not saying Nebraska
Yeah.
won't, but I think that Colorado will. I could
Mhm.
see by next year. I could see Colorado. Just depends again, like this year. If they are they competing or they get blown out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is
No,
it
I
all
understand.
just pulling guys out of the portal because I'm Deion Sanders and I have a
Or is
cool?
it
Yeah,
or is it building a roster?
yes. There's
I
all
think that
these guys.
we're absolutely going to see that this year. I think that's the biggest, most interesting thing to me this year is seeing what does Colorado actually look like. Does this strategy actually work? Because quite frankly, as far as we're concerned, almost nobody on that team has truly played for Colorado.
Which, I mean, as Colorado hasn't been relevant since like 2000, probably like 2008, 2007.
To be
So
real, they haven't been relevant since the 90s.
true. And so why? I mean, if it ain't working, get rid of it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm not against just cleaning house. I mean, he said he's bringing Louis.
Mhm.
He's cleaning house. We saw USC last year bringing a bunch of guys in, and it seemed to work out well. It'll be interesting to see how fast are they able to gel together in
Yeah.
cohesiveness and play well together. That'll be the big thing. I don't
Mhm.
think in this day and age that it's as big as it was, but
Yeah.
um, you know, but like I said, I think they just even that is gonna be this is one of the cool like stories headlines. It's going to be
Mhm.
who's Colorado got this week, especially if they're
Yeah.
competing. You know what I mean?
Well, first week they got Nebraska.
They got Nebraska, and then so there you go. And then they
Yeah.
go no, they
Yeah.
have TCU, and then Nebraska.
And then Nebraska. But you know what I
But
mean? They're going to
they
play each other this year.
but they still got to play. They got to play Oregon. They got to play USC. They got to play Oregon
Mhm.
State. I
Yeah.
think this year too. So
They
they're
they
gonna
had kind of a for the Pac-12, they got a brutal like
yes.
schedule.
But again, this is what I mean. This is what Dion wants. He wants to be able to
Yeah.
show people that listen, we're not here just for the show. Like we're here to
Mhm.
compete, win ball games. So
Yeah.
I think Colorado gets there first. You don't, and that's a shame because my facts are always right. Anyway, all right, we will move on to our final segment here of the night, and it is, as always, our favorite game. 3 questions, Dylan.
Mhm.
Where again, we'll go over the rules again because why not? We write down 3 questions. We do not know what each other is telling us. That's always just a prayer right there.
Oh,
And
it's so
we
much
just
fun.
answer it. And we might give our own insight
Yeah.
into it, depending on what the question is.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll start.
Okay.
Dylan.
Yep.
Pirates take who first overall? Dylan Cruz or Paul Skeens? Right now, the most recent mock drafts say Paul Skeens is projected number 1.
Mhm. I think you take Paul Skeens personally.
Okay.
I mean, you know, you got a guy who debatably could be your star pitcher for the next 10, 15 years plus.
Mhm.
Like, you got to
If he
take
stays
that guy
healthy.
number 1 overall.
Yeah.
Only reason I say no against Dylan Cruz is at least when it comes to Pittsburgh, you're already kind of crowded.
Yeah, especially in the outfield room.
Exactly, because you have Brian Reynolds, you have Jack Sawinski.
They just called
You
up
know,
Henry Davis, and he's in
yep,
right
and
field now.
I keep saying it. You don't believe me, but I just think it's what's going to happen eventually is I think Cruz is going to end up being pushed to right field at some point too. I know you don't believe me. I just with the way they talk about shortstops who throw really hard and move them to right field. It's just it happens a lot. Big shortstops who throw hard go to right field. So I think very much Dylan Cruz is just like doesn't really fit with what Pittsburgh's building, but I think Skeens would be perfect.
So
like absolutely perfect to get just a clear-cut number one top of the order starter in that rotation.
So I'm gonna say Skeens too, as a Pirate fan.
Yeah.
I think, like you're saying, the outfield wise, I think that so you play center field now. I think right now, well, I mean, because you already we have Henry Davis in right. You'll have Reynolds that's in the outfield as well as Swinski. You can put G1 Bay out there. They just called up Nick Gonzalez tonight, who was their first round pick from the 2020 draft. They just pulled up Henry Davis the other night, who was the 2021 first overall pick. You have Endy Rodriguez still hanging out in AA or AAA, forget. He's a catcher. Once we finally take Austin Hedges to the glue factory and say goodbye to him, we'll be a great team. And as far as pitching goes, God almighty, they need pitching so bad. It's always sometimes a risk. Do you want to waste? You want to use up that first pick, your first round pick on a pitcher? But this, you have to. They need starting pitching so bad. The bullpen, they'll try. You got some guys down in the minors that are some of their picks, some early picks from a couple years ago. But man, they got, and remember you still have Tamar Johnson hanging out now. He's in single A. Anthony Solamento, I forget his last name. I think that's how you say it. He's down there. He's a reliever, but they need Mitch Keller and they need another guy because the starting rotation is not terrible, but they need
so much better though.
But if you can get two dominant arms, young guys like Mitch Keller, who's having a good year this year, the bullpen's the issue right now. I think they can clean it up easier than finding. It's harder to find your dudes. You know what I mean? Like your dudes, your roster, rather than the playoffs, or rather than that.
Yeah.
You can even put him in the bullpen, set him up with Dave or with David Bednar. You know what I mean? But I think you go Skeens here. You don't mess around with this. You go Skeens.
No. You go Skeens. You move on.
There's more upside there. Okay. What's your first question?
How much is Shohei Ohtani worth in a trade?
Like player-wise or money-wise?
Yeah, player-wise.
God, oh man. Well, it depends.
I was looking at some Mets ones, and it was
that was
like
bad. They were bad.
It was like you give up your entire farm. You give up everything we've ever.
I think it's got to be if either you're sending like two guys. I think it's at least four guys.
I agree. I think it's at least four guys, but I also think it's like your top four prospects.
See, but is that worth it?
Well,
unless you're in win now, right now.
Yeah.
Is it worth
it? I think that's the only team's trading for Ohtani.
See, I don't
you're
think
not trading for Ohtani if you're not.
I don't think he gets traded. I think the Angels are going to be close enough to compete close enough where they're not going to want to trade him. And then they'll sign him, depending on how this year finishes, or they'll just let him go.
I think the next 17 days mean everything.
Why would you waste, unless you're planning on trading and signing him long term, why would you risk just a short-term rental and waste your entire future? So that's I'd say four players at least, though.
If it's a team like New York, either New York team, really.
Yeah.
You're desperate at this point.
Are you don't win this year. You're just your top guys are underperforming?
Well, yeah, but a lot of the guys you have are aging.
True.
I hate to say this to Yankee fans, but like Aaron Judge is not going to be Aaron Judge in 4 years. He just physically isn't going to be.
Yeah.
He's too tall, he's too big, and he's already 31 years old.
True.
He's already had injury problems. So if you get him for 8 more years, where let's be honest with ourselves, like 4 to 5 of those years, he's probably going to be kind of
bad.
A lot of money going nowhere. Yeah. So you're sitting here and you're going, if we really want that window, we really have this year and next year. Getting a guy like Ohtani for at least half the season can
Yeah.
drastically fix so many problems. Because not only is he at least a solid number 2, like in your rotation, right?
Uh-huh.
Like he's a solid 2-3. I know a lot of people say he's an ace. I hate to say he's not an ace. He just isn't. He gives up way too many runs. He walks too many guys
Yeah.
to be a real ace. But he's a solid starter. He can pitch 6 innings every night, and he hits way above average for a DH. Like among like DHs, he's right there with Yordan Alvarez in production wise.
Mm-hmm.
He's at 25 home runs.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, like you're saying, I think he's just gonna have to be someone that if you're invested, winning now, and you're all right with one of these bigger market teams giving up a lot of your young studs, go after it. You know what I mean? So
Do it, yeah.
or just I would personally, if you're a bigger market team, just wait till the offseason and try to sign him then. Because then it becomes a race to see who has the bigger check.
Yeah. I think
You know?
I'm going to call it right now. The New York Yankees are going to trade for Shohei Ohtani at the deadline.
No.
And then they're not going to be able to re-sign him because they are spending way too much money on Aaron Judge and
I think he goes to Boston.
Signs with Boston?
Signs with Boston next year.
I don't think he signs with Boston. I think he signs with the Dodgers.
See,
I think that makes the most sense with the way the books have been.
I just think he signs with Boston mainly because he is one of his other Japanese buddies, or Yoshida.
Masataka Yoshida, yeah.
And they're like best buds.
I just think he's going to stay in LA because of the financial opportunities are better than in Boston.
True, but
especially if he's trying to grow his brand. Is I think the biggest thing they've been saying.
Boston's one of the biggest markets you can be.
I don't think you can get much bigger than the Dodgers, though.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I think the Dodgers fan base stinks.
No, I agree. Doesn't mean the market's not massive.
Yeah,
and
but
the Dodgers are one of those teams where it doesn't even matter if you watch baseball. You know the Dodgers.
Yeah, but if you can dominate in Boston, you're Boston legend forever.
Yeah, but that doesn't really mean anything, especially when
they go to.
And I got to be honest with you, Boston is not even going to make an attempt to sign him because the way their front office is run is that they're only about making money. They have cut so many guys. They didn't even offer Xander Bogaerts a serious offer.
I'm just saying.
I just don't think they're going to give him money.
All right.
Like, they'd offer him a contract. They'll be like $200 million for 10 years. And he'd be like, okay, what, guys? What is this?
That's what the Braves do, and then they hypnotize you into signing it.
Yeah, exactly. He'll sign with the Braves for $20 million a season.
That's big time. All right, second question. Most underrated type of candy and most overrated?
Ooh, fantastic question. The most underrated type of candy is these, oh my God, what are they called? But they're by Harborough. They're the sour worms, where it's 2 flavors.
Sour gummies?
Yeah, but they're like worms. So like each flavor of the worm is different. That's so good. You never hear it talked about. Amazing though. Absolutely fantastic.
And what's your most overrated candy?
Oh, that's a good one too. I there's a lot I would say I just disappointed in. Probably Snickers.
Okay. I don't know about that, but
I know it's the most popular candy in America.
No, it's not. I don't think
I think it statistically is.
I think Reese's are.
Chocolate bars.
I think
Reese's are great. But I think they're perfect where they are. They're perfectly rated.
I think most underrated are peanut M&Ms.
Yeah.
You don't get talked about enough. You get the classic, but the peanut M&Ms are far superior. And most overrated in general, Airheads.
That's fair. Only because I think I would only agree with that because I think most of the flavors, if they're not red or blue, get it out of here. It's like almost toxic waste. They're kind of like
Airheads, Laffy Taffy are all like just get them out. Get them out.
Yeah, I understand that.
What's your second question?
Okay. Are superhero movies dying?
Yes. I think a little bit. I think they're producing them so much too quickly.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right too.
I think what made the good ones good is that they had them spread out enough
Yeah.
where people, wanted them again. They got that itch. They wanted to
They
see
built
it. Whereas,
built excitement for him.
it's like the Call of Duty games, and we're getting
Mhm.
totally nerdy here, but when you produce a new one so
Yeah.
quickly, you're not going to get them they're not going to be as popular, as good,
Mhm.
because that point, then you're just rushing.
Yeah.
And then now they got the TV shows on Disney Plus. You got always DC will always make a bad movie.
Yeah.
You got the
You
Marvel.
got the best characters too. It
They got
bothers me, bro.
but they
I
keep
hate that.
producing them too quickly. Nobody
Mhm.
keeps up with them. And then if you watch a movie, you have to almost watch like 3 other shows to just
Yep.
catch up to the movie.
Yep,
So
'cause you're
I don't
completely
want to
lost.
do that because I don't
No.
have time to watch 3 shows.
Yep.
So yeah, they are.
All right.
My third question for you is, Dylan.
Yes.
All right, you're throwing a barbecue, a nice
Mhm.
cookout, but you need 3 college football coaches to help you out. Who are you choosing?
All time or active right now?
Can be any.
Any?
Within like a reasonable time period, obviously.
Okay. I think we're getting Mike Leach because I think he could be the life of the party.
Okay.
He could just
Just
suck in
the
energy.
jokes-
Obviously, he's
The
past things,
jokester.
but
He's the jokester.
I think, no, you could bring him in. He'd be great. First thing I would ban Nick Saban. Nick Saban's not allowed.
Oh, he
He'd
loves
ruin
the lake.
everything,
He
man.
loves to be on the boat, though.
He loves to be on the boat, but I just think he's gonna be like, he's gonna char the burgers. You know what I mean? He's gonna be like, "Come on, man! Like nobody likes it well done." He's like,
I don't like that.
Oh, it's such a good question.
Here, I'll say mine. How about I'll give you some time?
Okay. I
right,
want to
so
hear. I want to hear yours. Real
All right, so I'm going with Kirby Smart, only because
Okay,
he's gonna
that's fair.
get everyone in check. No messing around.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get
Mhm.
everything done. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna get done. Sam
Mhm.
Pittman, because he knows he's gonna be the guy. He's gonna be the pit master. He's
Yeah.
gonna be the guy cooking the good stuff, bringing the cold refreshments. He's just
Yeah.
the guy you want to be around with the barbecue because damn
Mhm.
well he makes great
Yeah.
food and knows how to drink cold beer and other good
Yeah.
refreshments. And Shane Beamer, because he need a little life, some energy.
Yeah.
Beamer
No.
with the
Yeah.
glasses, get me that all
Mhm.
day. Let's get Beamer. Honorable mention, Ed Ogeron, because he's going to get the crawfish and that country
Yeah.
boy.
Oh man.
So,
But the problem is nobody can understand Ed when he's in the room.
who
Everybody's gonna be
cares
like,
when he brings the big pot full of like the
Yeah.
country boil and just dumps it on the table? No, nobody's going to be talking because they're going to be eating.
So on the grill, I'm going Mike Gundy. And his
Oh,
beautiful mullet out there, because a
Slick
guy
back.
with a mullet like that who has
He's
like,
40.
that guy
He's a
knows how to
man.
cook. That guy knows how to cook food. He is. Whew. But oh man, my last one. This is a good one. This is a good part. There was a couple guys I'm thinking right now, right? Like I just want to know more about their personality. Like I want to know, how is Luke Fickle when he drinks a couple cold ones? Like how's he doing after that?
What
man?
about like what's Norvell like?
Norvell's very serious. So
What about like Dabo?
Dabo's a good one. But you know what though? You know what's a good one? I would bring Dion. Dion's a good one.
I think I'd give me like Mac Brown.
No,
He's an old soul.
Mac Brown would be a good one too. Brown would be a good one too. I would have a very clear ban list, right? So like we're keeping Lincoln Riley and his dried brisket out of here.
Yeah,
get that out of here. Nick
Nobody
Saban's
from
got
California. Everyone stay over there.
Keep creepy Billy out of here too. Oof.
Bye, Billy. Can't let
Dude looks like a chiseled mountain.
So,
But yeah,
right,
I think it would be my 3 would be but then okay. Mike Gundy on the grill. I got Mike Leach with the entertainment. And then I got Mac Brown in charge of everything, just setting the rules of the building.
Yeah. He's the greeter. Knows how to just keep people entertained.
Yeah. Just
All
keep
right.
people understand. You know something to nicely tell them you're not allowed in that room. Don't go in there. The house is off limits. I don't
Nice.
want your kids going in my bedroom. You may know how to say it nicely so that nobody gets mad about
Yeah. Yes. Yes. All right. Well, guys, that's going to be the show. We'll end it
it.
up
Yep.
on Mac Brown keeping kids out of the rooms. Not
It's
weird at all.
necessary though. You know,
It
it is
is. It
necessary.
is necessary though.
It's a quiet necessity you don't think about till you're in that moment and you're like, man, this kid broke something in my room and now I'm mad. I can't yell at the kid.
No, no, you can't. All right. So that's going to be it for today, guys.
Yep.
As always, make sure you guys are watching, liking, subscribing, listening on
Mhm.
Spotify and Amazon Music. We are one subscriber away from Big 50, like we
So
said.
close. So
So
close.
we just need you guys to keep watching, as always. But make sure if you know anybody that wants to subscribe, and if you're watching that isn't subscribed and you're not subscribed, what are you
Please
doing?
subscribe.
What are you
Please subscribe.
doing? Subscribe. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, just do that. And then as always, show us the love, watch it.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be discussing an episode next week because I
Mhm.
leave town. I'm out of town starting next week. So we'll have to either find a good time or, maybe do an emergency short little quick pod. But
Yeah.
we'll find
Let's
time.
figure it out.
We're going to get one done next week because
Yeah.
the next week after we won't have a show. We'll be off that week.
Hmm.
And yeah. So as always, Knowles and Dogs podcast. We'll be back next time.
We'll see you.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out, guys.